What's up, everyone? Welcome back to our coverage of The GOAT here on the Hit or Quit podcast feed. We are here today to recap the second and third episode of this little 3-episode drop that we're getting here on Amazon Freevee. I am Jenny, joined by the GOAT himself, my GOAT, Chappelle. Chappelle?
Hey, Jenny.
Hey.
I'm happy to be back, but
We're
also,
back.
what happened to our precious little goat show? Everything
my
was so
God.
nice and wholesome last time we talked, and now I'm not quite sure what the hell we just stumbled across. This is wild.
It's so messy. Like episode 1, silly,
Mhm.
campy, fun, a little sloppy. A little bit of gaming going on, but nothing too intense. And it just felt like, okay, we've got some big personalities here. This is a show that's very unserious. And this is going to be a fun, low stakes time. And, episode 2 and 3 came along and said, hold my goat figurine that is about to be melted in the fire because I'm about to blow shit up. These 2 episodes, we've got the rise and fall of Tayshia. We've got the rise and fall of Dayon, I would say, based on how these 2 episodes go. It has gotten intense and very, very messy. I can't believe we're only on episode 3 here and how the layers of how many people seem to hate each other. And I'm starting to get some understanding, some context for why it seems like this show ended up so messy and that the postseason relationships might be a little crazy.
Yeah, not a great arc for some of our players because it got messy so quickly. Tayshia is the original GOAT. She gets rid of Joey, but it starts off with her switching her vote from Jason to Joey, and that right there is automatically going to be the thing that pops off the drama because Tayshia had told her team who she was going to vote out. She had told her alliance who she was going to vote off, and she did. She originally voted out Jason. But when she looked at the cards on the table and saw, okay, which one of these cards can I beat at the end? It was a no-brainer to go ahead and pick Joey to vote out. But Jenny, in the past, we see switching votes. It rarely helps. If you vote wrong, you trying to double back and vote correctly or fix it on the revote and all this other stuff, it still puts a target on your back because we know where your initial thoughts were, and these people are not having it with Tayshia. They're already out. I think is it Paula who's sick of her or CJ who's already done? Like they're just both like, bro, what are you doing? We had a pact. She's like, I mean, we did, and I didn't break it. I did vote for who you told me to vote for. I just changed my vote when I got a second chance to vote. So that's not the same, right?
Exactly. Yeah, especially because it was a tie vote. It was a split house. This is the first vote, and we had a tied vote. And so with Tayshia switching her vote and making the deciding vote here, she's now kind of done the opposite of everyone at least once. So that's not a great way to start things off, especially being the first person in power here. I'm assuming she did not anticipate that this was going to be the situation, that she was going to be in a tiebreaker situation. So like I, extend her a little bit of grace on that. But I do feel, and I love Tayshia. I was really excited to see her. It was really fun seeing her kind of get into the game of it all too. But I really feel, I'm assuming that all the girls had voted together, even though it seemed like this girls alliance got made after this vote or something. But without having seen who everyone voted for, I'm assuming that a lot of those people were the ones that voted for Jason. The way that she handles that conversation where all the women are in the bedroom and we're like, okay, like Paula's it seems like Paula is like our like women's empowerment leader, like let's the girls alliance, we have to stick together. She seems to be the one who's really driving that energy home, which is fun. I felt like Tayshia mishandled this conversation, especially with CJ, because it was CJ who's kind of like, yeah, like I'm into this idea of a girls alliance, but I need to know we're on the same page because like yesterday I felt a little blindsided. And Tayshia explains like, okay, yeah, like I switched my vote. I did initially, like I didn't lie to anyone. I voted Jason. It's just that when I had to break the tie, I decided you know, who I probably can't beat Joey. But I felt like the way that she was like saying that to CJ, and this is going to be a theme of this 2-episode arc, is like the this is a game energy can come off like a little like, hey idiot, wake the hell up, like
Mhm.
it's not that deep. It's just a game. And I felt like Tayshia did that a little bit to CJ here. And we're getting the indication that people aren't taking CJ super seriously and that she is underestimated. And I felt like that was one of those moments where like Tayshia shows like, I'm prioritizing my own game here. I saw that I had an opportunity to get out someone that I personally can't beat. So that's what I chose to do, even though it was the opposite of what I had done before. So I feel like that was like the start of things falling apart for Tayshia here. Yeah, like this girls' alliance was. I'm so tired of this. Why? Like it broken before it was even put together.
Yes. Okay. So we laid out the facts. Let's get into the craziness. Now, the Girls Alliance, Devon literally comes out and says, yeah, I've done Big Brother a couple times. I've done the challenge. I know how this goes. We have a Girls
It
Alliance,
doesn't
and
go.
there's always one weak link that is going to break the alliance and go against the game. And this time it's Tayshia. They're like, Tayshia, what are you doing? We all agreed on one thing. She's like, well, they were both guys. I don't mind either one of them going. It's like, but you also agreed that you were going to vote with us to vote out that person. So you have betrayed the alliance. Anybody at this point in the game, if you're offering an alliance, stick with the alliance for the time being, especially if it comes down to a tie vote and you might have to reveal your hand. This was so bad for Tayshia. So bad. Yeah. And I think it does galvanize the women's alliance a lot, because from that moment on, they're like, okay, we got to stick together. We have to have a moment. Like you said, Paula is kind of pushing like, hey, we got to keep the girls alliance. We got to do this. So then when it goes down to the end of the episode and Tayshia is torn between, well, do I try to put the votes on anybody else or do I vote out my friend Joe? She doesn't realize the other option is to just do nothing, right? Like she does not have to tell Joe what's going on. She can just let this man go because Joe has no issue voting for her. And so it'd be different if she had a ride or die who, no matter what, he was never going to put her name down. It was always going to be, him and her to the end. That's fine. But the moment she told Joe and Joe's kind of reacted is like, well, okay, well, do what you got to do, because I'm going to do what I got to do. And it all flips on Tayshia when literally all she had to do was vote out Joe. So I don't know. She said she was trying to make friends and all this other stuff, but the game did pop back up again. Like they'd like to pretend on the show for some reason that they're not gaming. But when all the women turn on Tayshia, that's definitely a game move. And I don't think it's a bad move either.
No, I agree. I think that, one of the things is like when it's half the house and you're doing like this giant girls alliance, it's never going to work. It's like too many people. And I don't think that that's just a girls thing. I think that like any alliance that's too big and like there are weaker connections with it, it's like that's too much to try to try to control. And it almost kind of behooves you to like get rid of those weaker links ahead and also throw off the scent of that being an alliance in the first place, which obviously Tayshia does work to make sure that that's going to be a problem. Like I'm sure by this point everyone knows that there is the girls are working together. But yeah, it to me Tayshia felt like, she's a bit of a people pleaser. She wanted to be in good with everyone. I'm sure that this is carryover from the energy of being the Bachelorette, where you're like I was saying last week, like, she's so good at controlling or like managing these relationships and being good with everyone. But then it's like at a certain point when game comes into it, if you're trying to do too much, it will catch up to you. And sometimes it's just like you said, better to like sit back and let the game come to you and not try to do too much with too many people, because you have to let some connections go at some point. So like it's going to be out of your hands. Like, I'm sure she would have happily kept Joey around and tried to like, she did not want to be in that position. And that's why like you're looking back and you're like, yeah, winning that first challenge really screwed up her game in a way. Like, yes, some of it ended up being how she, conducted herself afterwards, but because she put herself in a position of power, not knowing what that was going to come with, that sets the tone. Yeah, and you know, some of these people, they just like don't realize what they're getting themselves into, and I felt like the game aspect of this ramped up super hard in the second episode.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Tayshia wasn't prepared. I think like you said, her strengths are I can sit in this room and talk to everybody, and they can tell me things, and I can tell them like, and I can really bond with all these people and make them all feel comfortable with me. That's great. Those are some bachelor skills. However, this is a game where you can lie to these people to their face, and then they can go and vote you out. And Tayshia is so used to I will say this, probably in like the Bachelor franchise, even when in the Bachelorette franchise, telling somebody, I really do like you. I really do want you to continue the game. I really do care for you. I can find myself falling in love with you. I can see myself getting married to you. And then also eliminating them. You know,
Yeah.
like you can have that conversation, eliminate them, and then there's no blowback against you. Whereas this time, it's the suitors that have some of the power as well. So it's like Tayshia says this to Grocery Store Joe. And Grocery Store Joe obviously reacts like, well, no, Tayshia, save me. Just vote with me, leave your alliance, and then us and the guys will run this game. Like, we can get them out. We'll save me for this week. We'll get somebody else out and we'll move on. But that's not how her brain was wired in the moment. You know, it didn't even occur to her for that. Also, Tayshia, if you're listening to this, which I know you are, obviously, in the future, when you're vulnerable, you do not stick out your neck for somebody else who is vulnerable. You know, like you are in self-preservation
and it's such a small amount of people.
Right. There's 5 people that can go, and you are actively trying to put yourself out on a risk for one of those 5 people, but you're not doing it in a way where you're rallying votes to save him. You're more doing it in a way that he feels like, no, you're telling me the truth. You're letting me down easy, but you're still voting against me. Because Joe was not the only available male to vote for. Like, they definitely, like, I'm pretty sure, was it Justin?
It was him and Justin that were on the losing team here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could have tried to flip it to another person. Now, it would have been hard. We will find out in the next episode that Justin is insulated in the house.
Yeah, a lot of people have relationships with Justin.
Yeah, but to just go to Joe and be like, I'm sorry, it's you, and I won't be voting with you, it's a wild choice. And so I don't blame Joe at all for voting her out. Tayshia, this just wasn't the game for you.
Yeah, this conversation with Joe is I mean, Joe impressed me here. I was like, okay, Joe, because he kind of clapped back and was like, okay, well, you're literally just telling me that you've made an alliance with half the house and you have the numbers and that I'm the name, and you're giving me this like half measured like of giving me a heads up about it, but not offering me any sort of like viable plan to keep us both safe. And it doesn't sound like you're willing to go against said alliance, because there are still other options. And other options that aren't even get out Justin. Like, there are options of, okay, well, do you want to stick with those people or do you want to stick with me? You're literally telling me what decision you're making here right now. And you know, the things that were said about Joe is that, oh, he seems checked out. So Tayshia comes to him with this stuff, and he literally like shows how not checked out he is by being like, well, you know what? Your name is the other one that's floating out there. So I guess I have to go and see what I can do here. And I love this from him. Like, instead of just being like, our friendship is more important to me, and you know, I appreciate the heads up, like, we'll see how it goes, but hopefully it goes my way. Like, no, this man said, with his probably 8th margarita of the day, gets up and says, okay, well, I'm gonna go see what I can do. And he gathers the troops. I think that this was incredible because Joe said, all right, you're not prioritizing me in the game. Best thing I can do is just really try to get these votes on you. And you know, I'm not going to give all of the credit to Joe here, because obviously he has people he's working with. But what, you know, Tayshia is like the unintentional assist here, because she goes back to the girls in the bedroom and says, okay, so I talked to Joe. He's not that happy. They're like, okay, well, you didn't tell him about the alliance, so like he doesn't know for sure that he doesn't have the numbers. And she's like, no, I told him he didn't have the numbers, and there's a girls' alliance. And they're like, what the fuck? Like, what? Why would you do that?
Yeah, we get a lot
That
of
is the
energy from them.
nail in the
Yeah.
comment.
It's really wild. You betrayed your alliance essentially, but you didn't betray them. Like you have betrayed them by outing the alliance, but you're still voting with them. And then you want to go back to them and let them know exactly what you did. Wild behavior. Because if you just even now, let's say you told Joe this stuff and then Joe starts to go around and campaign or whatever. Let's say you go and tell the women, hey, I think Joe is campaigning. Let's vote him out. I think he told me he thinks the women are all working together. I tried to shut it down, but it looks like he's trying to build an alliance against us. I don't think any of the women ask questions. I think they're like, bet, well, that's why we built this alliance to stand up against stuff like this happening. But instead, she goes to them and says, yeah, y'all actually can't trust me. And the person that I trust the most is the person that you could vote out right now and eliminate. Or you can vote out me because you don't really like, I don't trust you. So you obviously shouldn't trust me that much, right? So they give her the pick of the litter. They say, okay, do we want to vote out one of these guys and continue our women's alliance that we just started? Or do we want to vote out the weak link? If Devon is thinking along the same lines as what she told us in confessional, she knows there will be a weak link. Maybe this is the time to nip it in the bud and it never gets going because I mean, that's the last thing you need is somebody who's going back and playing like both sides. And Tayshia was very capable of doing that with her relationship with Joe. So it's not a shock that she's the one who goes this time.
She could have played it off too. Like like you were just saying, she could have gone back and said like, you know, I talked to him, like obviously we were friends. So we're talking about like, what can we do to make sure it's neither of us? And, you know, because a bunch of the other names that are up are you guys, when things are being brought up, I'm kind of like trying to dodge those being the option. And we kind of just ended up going in circles because obviously I'm not going to throw at any of you guys as an option here. Like, I feel like that's a way where you can kind of like white lie it to, you know, anyway. It is what it is, and yeah, I think she fumbles this here, but I also think that there were already pieces in place that, I mean, we heard in the very first episode before any of this had transpired. Lauren was saying, there's something about Tayshia I don't trust. Like people were already kind of picking up on some vibes with her here, but it was still sad to see. And you know, what can you do? But I'm curious whether, because we ultimately get to a vote here, and I will jump back at some point and talk about some of the challenges from this episode before we move into episode 3. But we get to this vote that between Tayshia and Joe, where it ends up being, was it like 7-3 or
it was 10-3?
Sorry,
10-3.
So 10 votes against Tayshia, 3 against Joe, and it sounds like the 3 votes, they knew that CJ was going. So CJ was the GOAT. CJ voted for Joe. Tayshia obviously voted for Joe. And then there's the big drama afterwards about who was the 3rd vote for Joe. Before we get to who was the 3rd vote for Joe, was there a situation where Tayshia could have just, if she had not gone back to the girls and told Joe, or told them that she told Joe about the alliance, did they not have the votes to just get rid of Joe anyway? Because at this point, like, I think that's really what it was, right? Like, yes, Joe went back and was like, okay, well, Tayshia's the other name out here. I'm not going to try and make anything else happen. It's going to be me or her. He probably goes and gathers all the guys' votes, but those wouldn't have been enough against the girls. So, like, truly, do you, like, is your interpretation that was when it changed? Do you think that before Tayshia went to talk to Joe, the girls 100% would have been all votes to get rid of him?
You know, I really think it would have been kind of straightforward as far as the women going after Joe, but it does raise the question because CJ did not vote out Tayshia, and so I'm like, well, is CJ was just like, I refuse to vote out Tayshia because I know her from like the dating the dating show Streets, or did they blindside CJ? Was CJ not in on the flip? Because I mean, everybody should have voted out, all the women should have voted out Tayshia at least together at that point. And it seemed like CJ is one of the few who did not know that was happening, or just refused to vote against Tayshia. I'm not quite sure how she managed
what their relationship was.
Yeah,
that was the thing that was confusing, is that like either CJ immediately said, I voted Joe, I knew Tayshia was going, but that's my girl, I didn't want to vote her, or whatever, like whatever she said, or she just was honest, like up like immediately said, sorry guys, like that was me. I'm not sure, because it seems strange to me that she would be left out of it, especially because
Mhm.
she doesn't see, I didn't see anything to believe that like she was Tayshia's other closest ally or anything like that.
Mhm.
Like that part was very confusing. Like, are they, oh, what if there's an immunity idol shot in the dark? We have to throw an extra vote.
Gotta
Like,
split the vote, Jenny.
yeah, I don't know what happened there.
We seemingly will never know what the vote counts are for real. Like Daniel Tosh, I was really expecting him at the beginning of this episode, like for them to reveal to us, what the vote split was for Joey. We
Like
don't
who
get it.
voted who? Well, yeah,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
we knew the vote split for Joey and Jason, because it ended up being 7-7 with
Mhm.
Tayshia breaking that tie. And then we did know the ending vote count for Tayshia and Joe, that it was 10-3, but we don't get like
Who voted for
the
who?
credits of like
Mhm.
on Survivor at the end where we're seeing who voted for. We're still getting just like the edited version, who's speaking what names into the goat's mouth, which I'm so glad that is literally every week we're doing this. Every
Yeah,
week we're voting into the goat's mouth.
Jenny, my issue with that is I love it, but I love it even more because we do not get to see the confessional that they do in the goat's mouth. They put the paper in there, they read off, they say something, and we don't get the
Do they say
inside.
something though? Are you seeing their mouth move?
A few people were saying, at the very least, saying, "I vote to evict such and such."
Yeah.
Like, there were a couple people who did that, but my thing is, if you're making them say something, even if they're just whispering the name, you kind of got to give us the view because it's so odd that they're going through
Where
the apparatus and we're not even using it.
Where is the throat goat cam? We asked for
Yes.
it. And yes, I know that this is already filmed, but we
Appar-
asked for it and they have not delivered.
yeah, it filmed almost a year ago to about what about I guess 13
Got to
months
be
ago
pretty
because
close because
Passover is
Passover,
coming.
yeah, takes
Yeah.
place during these two episodes. So, so pretty close to, yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying like a year ago. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I still love the absolute silliness of the goat voting, but you're right, it is confusing. I don't know why some of them say the name into the mouth. Some of them are saying like, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry, but it doesn't seem like true voting confessionals,
Right.
and it's just very, very bizarre. But yeah, we don't actually get to see who votes for who. We're kind of piecing that together after the episodes based on, conversations that happen afterwards. But I'm still finding myself, I don't really know what happened in that first vote, because it
Mhm.
seems the girls' alliance was made after Joey was already gone. So I
Mhm.
don't necessarily think it was as simple as all the girls voted for Jason and all the guys voted for
Mhm.
Joey, because I don't think that that's what happened. I don't know. Very confusing, but these people are messy. They're all over the place.
Mhm.
So we can quickly talk about the challenges from this. So like this, the theme of episode 2, so it does seem like we're continuing with just themes for the challenges,
Mhm.
in, and of course for Daniel Tosh's outfits, which is very important. So this is Bravo week. And it was just like a trivia game to find out who was going to be the goat, and then it was like this muddy big sandbox, but it was just like the trivia, they made it sound like it was going to be about reality TV and pop culture, but really the questions were just like, they'd start off with like a reality TV reference and then just like tag it to some sort of random trivia.
Mhm.
Which I thought was kind of funny. And so yeah, like, do we know that Wendell is not a sports guy? He didn't know Wrigley Field. He apparently doesn't know football either, according to Tosh.
Yeah, I think he's just a basketball guy. Like, I think if I had to
He's
guess,
just basketball. Okay, so
Wendell's
no
just
baseball, no
basketball.
football.
Right,
Okay.
because him getting this question wrong and thinking that Lambeau was in Chicago literally made me flinch. I was like, "Wait a minute, hold on." I was like, okay, someone text Brycey and find out what the hell's going on, because I'm pretty sure Bryce knows that answer. I do not know how Wendell doesn't know the answer.
Right. I mean, I'm biased because I'm a baseball girly. I've been to Wrigley Field recently. And
Mhm.
so I I think that it's iconic and well known enough in terms of the association to Chicago. But yeah, it was kind of funny. Like Wendell's just has no clue. I'm sure he does now.
Yeah. No one's gonna let him forget this. Once this episode
He's
has
definitely
aired,
heard it.
yeah, he's gonna hear a lot about this. Yeah, not the greatest look, but I mean, Wendell. We talked a lot about Wendell's edit last episode. He bounced back. Like
Yes.
there wasn't a survivor counter, wasn't getting like the
No.
dodo music. Wendell's here to play the game.
Yes. They the edit still takes little opportunities to poke fun, or like Tosh takes opportunities to poke fun, but that's for everyone, really. Everyone's getting that. And I don't feel like it's necessarily like singling him out. And we're starting to get the rise of like Wendell the gamer edit in these 2 episodes. But yeah, that was really fun. Some funny answers of these. So like the questions were just like, who collaborated with. We got a Frankie Grande mention.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, Frankie Grande's sister, Ariana, who collaborated with Ariana on Rain on Me. And so anyway, we ultimately get down to a final question about how many teeth are in an adult set of teeth. And CJ clears.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, the last question was chess, wasn't it?
Well, chess
So we get down to
pieces, yeah. How many pawns?
Yes.
Right. And it's funny because Davon is one of the last remaining people in this trivia question, and they start off with in Big Brother, and you kind of see Davon look up like, okay, bet. Yeah, and then they're like, okay, how many pawns are on the chessboard? These questions to me feel like those math word problems where they just use where if you're in grade school and the teacher is using names of the kids that are in the actual class, where like Johnny did such and such, but the question has nothing to do with Johnny. It's just a math problem with his name in it. So they say, Big Brother has pawns. Davon.
Speaking of pawns.
Speaking of pawns, yeah, let's change the subject right there. It's almost like if Johnny Bananas had 2 apples, how many? That's how it feels to me. But yeah,
I would love to see a full trivia of like things like that, because like we only got a couple questions here, but it was really funny.
Yeah, Davon, she said her chess friends would be mad at her if she got the question wrong. Kristen's chess coach will be mad at her if she gets the question wrong. They both get the question wrong. CJ ends up getting it right.
How many of these people are like chess friends?
Chess friends. Do you have chess friends? Do you play chess? Do chess?
I have played chess. I played a little bit of chess in like elementary school. I think I might have been, maybe I did a chess club one year, maybe. But I don't know it super, super well. I own a chessboard, but I wouldn't say that I have chess friends. So, but I did know the answer to this. And I love that it's CJ who wins, because, like chess is like the cerebral game, like the ultimate like simple strategy type game here, and CJ is very much getting the edit, or like the perception of her among the house is like she's a dumb girl from a show called F-Boy Island. Like, hello, no one is expecting her to be winning a trivia challenge here, especially when the final question is about pawns and chess, and not like, I can understand getting like the Lady Gaga question, okay, like that some of this is pop culture, like people should know this stuff. So I was really, I mean, honestly, I'm coming out of these 3 episodes, I'm a bit of a CJ stan. I'm really liking her here, and I always have a soft spot for the like the under, not so much the underdog, but it's like the person that everyone just underestimates because they don't realize that they're smart, or they don't, they just don't see their potential. And that person is aware of that and plays into that. And I love that. I love that we're getting that awareness from CJ, that, because she said that, and even in her opening package, she's like, I just give 10% and people just expect that. And then bam, 45%. I was like, oh, this is my type of girl. So yeah, that's how we get CJ getting GOAT of the week here. And then I guess we can quickly talk about this elimination challenge. What is the name of these
The
things? It's
it
like the immunity challenge.
The
Or no, it
immunity
isn't.
challenge, yeah, the
Yeah, it's
team
like
challenge. So
the
you have the
team
GOAT challenge, and then
challenge.
you have the team challenge, right?
Yeah.
Before we move to that though, you talk about CJ being underestimated, and I think she is by a lot of people, including me at first. But now I'm kind of like, I'm like you, I'm watching her like, all right, CJ, what
Welcome.
you got?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Alyssa Edwards kind of like she clocks that she needs to be talking to CJ as well, and so
Yes.
they talk and they bond because CJ says that she has 2 dads, and so she's used to being around gay men, and like that's something that she really like feels a kinship with because of her dads, and she loves it. She's like, oh yeah, this is my type of person. Like I love Justin, and Justin is like, yeah, I'm feminine, but I'm also a drag queen, and I didn't want to get a target on my back, and so it's important for me to be able to work with the men in the house as well, because I don't want them all looking at me and being like, well, you're the most feminine man here, so you can
So
go.
you're the odd one out. Yeah.
Yeah. And so in this 2-episode arc, we see that CJ and Alyssa Edwards were bond, but we also see that Alyssa Edwards is good with the guys in the house. Like Justin says, like, I think they'll call it the gays and Wendell Alliance.
Wendell and the gays.
Wendell and the
gays. Yeah.
That's a trivia name. That's a trivia group name. You know what I'm saying? Like if you gotta do reality TV trivia, then that's like your team name, Wendell and the Gays. But
and then all the trivia questions have to be these lead in about like in Big Brother.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I love this little arc for CJ, and I'm very excited to see what happens with CJ and with Alyssa Edwards, because this is going to be a wild ride for them too.
Oh yeah, like it's only gonna get rockier from this point. But I did I love this conversation between the two of them, and I thought it was so funny because this is after CJ becomes the GOAT that Justin, aka Alyssa, is like, I want to talk to CJ. This is someone I need to talk to. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're gaming. Like, it's like, oh, look who's in power. I need to go have a conversation with this person. But truly, and as we kind of come to see how Justin's playing the game, this to me was completely sincere and was just like, this is someone that I think is impressive and I want to get to know them more on a truly human level. Like I don't think that this had anything to do with like, oh, okay, CJ's the GOAT. I'm going to have a conversation so I'm in good with her, because as we just saw last episode, the GOAT is in a very powerful position of potentially breaking a tie here. Like this seemed truly like, wow, girl, I saw what you did out there. That was impressive. I feel a good energy from you. And then they have this really lovely conversation where CJ's like, the things that you've had to do and go through is just so like inspiring to me. And it was just like truly a very sincere conversation that I think had nothing to do with CJ having power. So I loved that. And yeah, these two their bond is going to become even more important as we travel through this 2-episode arc. So yeah, we're going to get to this team challenge, and again, Bravo themed. So it was like a relay race, and we're making references to like iconic things that have happened. We have like table flipping.
Yeah,
that table flip challenge or part of the relay. How long do you think this went on for? Because it seemed like Tosh was like, I'm going to die.
Yeah, it seemed like it went on forever. I think the people would be better at this if it was a 1-person challenge, like the table flip part. But yeah, with 2 people, you have to be in sync. It got because it was very much like a flip cup, where it's like once you get into a rhythm on flip cup, you kind of know the like kind of the like pattern you have to use to get it done. But here you can't even establish a good feel for it because you have to make sure you're flipping, but you don't know the other person exactly. And so eventually they both get through it.
Imagine trying to flip a cup with like two of you, each of you have like one finger on like,
and you both have to flip it at the same time.
That sounds so difficult. So
painful.
Honestly, I was watching this. I was like, I don't know how you would do this. It seemed so hard. These tables, like they had tablecloths on them, and they like keep putting the tablecloth back on. I think after a while, because there was like glasses and stuff on it too. I'm sure everything was plastic, but I think after like a little while, because I think they were supposed to reset it
like
every time.
The table,
and I think after like a while, when they realized how hard this was for people, they probably were like, okay, you don't have to keep grabbing the glasses, but it seemed like they had to keep putting the tablecloth on. And every time I saw like a glimpse of the table, these tables were beat to shit. Like I don't know what they were made of, but they were like just getting completely mangled by how many times they're like hitting the ground hard because no one could do this. Like it had to have gone on for way too long based on how this edit looked. So that was the one part of the relay, and then we did like the Vanderpump related tossing of silverware. Like these are camp carnival games. This is so like low budget, but in the most delightful way. Like
Yes.
they're wrapping up silverware and tossing it into a bucket.
And then also trying to like talk about why they're good at this challenge, right? Because the producers are like, so do you think you were equipped to do a challenge like this? And each of them is like, well, back in the day, I used to work at a restaurant, or me and my daughter go to like, it's like, all right, cool,
The arcade,
yeah, like okay, we have some people with experience in throwing silverware across the room, but yeah, very bravo, right?
Tech is the one who says I worked at California Pizza Kitchen. And that him and Jason would be, was it Steph Curry and Klay Thompson were the two that they were going to be? And he's not wrong in that they were behind at that point, this team, and then they make up the ground and actually get ahead here. So today I learned working at California Pizza Kitchen is a reason for why you would be good at throwing silverware into a bucket.
Yeah, and then the climax of this whole challenge is throw the life raft around the buoy. And I'm thinking, this has got to be the easiest thing. I mean, we used to see challenges like this on Big Brother in the early days where you would just have that hula hoop and you just have to throw it right across the. Like, this is nothing compared to it. But they did build the suspense because both teams were fairly close to getting it. But we hear Wendell shout Kobe as he, the
slow motion Kobe. Yeah.
He's like, money.
The one sport he knows.
Right. Yeah. The one sport he knows. And now at this point, I'm looking up sideways about that too. Like, do you know it? So yeah, this was fun. But Wendell's team ends up winning. And so I think CJ had to put her lot in with one of the sides. She didn't have to compete. Oh no, CJ did compete. Who else? Who did compete?
She was on the losing team, I think.
Yeah, but someone got
Kristen.
to choose what team.
So it was uneven. So CJ had to pick someone who wasn't on a team, and then they had to do that thing where they pick the winning team. It's like the merge. Is that at Mergatory that they do that? I can't. I'm kind of
thinking, but I'm kind of thinking that's what the format of this game is at this point. Is like kind of like the merge / Mergatory, kind of those like 2-3 weeks in Survivor. Because this time again, we saw that one team is safe. CJ had to pick somebody who would probably go to Exile Island or Mergatory or whatever in the meantime until they come and smash the hourglass. I don't know. But you also see that Tayshia got to compete again. And there's a very big difference between what we saw on House of Villains, where it's more like Big Brother form, right? Where it's like you're the outgoing villain of the week. You cannot backdoor and be the next villain of the week. At least I don't think you could be it back to back, right?
I thought you could.
Maybe you could.
No one was just doing it.
Yeah, but that's probably what it is. But here, no. Here, these people were like, "Nah, I won it once. You know, you have the chance to compete." But Tayshia did not want to win it again anyway because she felt like it would put too much of a target on her back. But it's really the format of the show that I'm trying to lock down because it's like every week we all compete for immunity. We break it down into teams. Whoever left over doesn't have to compete. They probably immune or have to go with the side that wins or loses or whatever the case may be. And then we vote out somebody. And then the week resets after that. There's no HOH. There's no like chance to save yourself. It's literally the competition, the team competition, and the votes.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that losing team because it's going to get small. And I don't know if that's just the format for now while there's that many people, because you have to think we're going to get down to enough people that we can't really be doing these teams. But who knows? Again, this is a brand new show. We're just figuring it out. It's gotten a lot messier than I even anticipated after 3 episodes. So yeah, ultimately we get to what we've already talked about here with it being down to Tayshia and Joe. And Tayshia kind of she loses her shit.
Yeah.
She in a calm way. I don't think she had any idea that how the damage she had done here. But the Girls Alliance, they cut her and they send her away in a Prius.
And she is upset. I'm like Daniel Tosh. I would have jumped the fence. You'd jump the wall at that point. I know. I understand the Bachelor reference. So I was excited that he did it. But yeah, at that point, jump the fence and go save her. Save her from a Prius. But yeah, this episode was chock full of references from the Bravo realm. We got Below Deck for the water portion. Of course, we got the Vanderpumps and the Real Housewives stuff we talked about with the silverware and the chair, the table flipping or whatever. But I love the Reza talking about I prayed to Teresa Giudice. I loved Daniel Tosh with all his random Bravo housewife.
Oh, he was dressed as Lisa Rinna in the full like leopard with like the crossbody.
Yeah, he yells out prostitution whore. You know, he just starts like doing all the best hits.
That's why he knows. Like I don't even think he's getting fed any of this. I feel this feels sincerely all coming from him.
Yeah, close your legs to married men is like one of the most iconic quotes forever, like ever. And for like I know that quote, so I would have. And I've never seen any of the Housewives. Probably haven't. I think I've only seen one episode, and so of any series ever. And so, but hearing Daniel Tosh kind of throwing out the greatest hits, all of them where I could just like see the clip in my head from all the other shows that I've seen them played on, or all the other
like the montage.
Yeah, like on Twitter and stuff like that. We're like, remember when this thing happened, or what's the greatest fight in reality TV? You see that woman throwing her prostitution whore comments out at people, and you know, like close your legs to married men. There were so many that he used, and I was just like, man, if I'm a Housewife fan, I'm in heaven right now because this is like really appealing to the shows. And they said this is supposed to be a celebration of the reality shows that you like. And so it's less about the characters and more about the big moments. And this was full of big moments.
And that's why I feel like, you know, each episode where like, you know, the theme is a certain type of reality show. I like that it really is like kind of a love letter to these shows, and we're talking about iconic moments from them. Like I think that's really fun. It was especially great like having Tosh like next to Kristen, who comes from like Vanderpump, and her like kind of commenting like, oh yeah, that's a good one. Like she's just like watching the challenge being like, that one too.
Been there. Yeah, seen it.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's basically, we saw Tosh runs after Tayshia. I don't know what happened there. He was really heartbroken. He did tell us like, you guys screwed up. Why are we getting rid of the person with the most Twitter followers? Which I was surprised to learn. Is this fact that of this cast, Tayshia had the most Twitter or Instagram followers? Maybe it was Instagram.
Okay, and so I would believe it because Bachelor Nation is just, you know,
it's wild. It's huge. Yes.
However, kind of shocked that RuPaul's Drag Race fandom didn't show up for Alyssa Edwards because she's such a big deal. But I think I asked Scally this in the past. So like, why don't people talk about Alyssa Edwards more? Because I already told y'all she's my favorite of the RuPaul's Drag Race kind of like universe because I've only seen a couple seasons. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm like, she seems so dope to me. So maybe they're just not giving her flowers where they're due. I'm checking right now. She has 1.9 million followers on Instagram, which is wild. Tayshia only has 1.4 million. So maybe a lot of changed in the last 12 months.
Maybe since last year, Alyssa, you know, got maybe either Alyssa Edwards got more followers or Tayshia lost some. I don't know. Or there some controversy I haven't heard of. I don't know. So anyway, I hope that Tosh should be eating his words now. And speaking of eating words, my favorite moment from this, no, not my favorite, but like this ends with Joe I'm enjoying Joe. I did not watch any of the shows that he was on. He's eating like a ham sandwich in his confessional because there's like all the talk of like, who was the third vote for Tayshia? And he's like, I don't know who it is, but I'm still here. See you guys tomorrow. Like Joe is having fun with this. He's like he's giving that energy of like, I don't care. He's having these conversations with Wendell being like, I'm just going to drink some more margaritas. Like there's nothing I can do here. But I can tell he's like having fun with it. But yeah, I forgot to mention we get the reveal of who the third vote was. And you know, everyone's around the island in the kitchen having this conversation. Someone lied, like who is the third vote for Joe? I thought we were all voting Tayshia. And it's Da'Vonne. Da'Vonne said, let's get messy. And she's not telling anybody.
Was it Da'Vonne? Was it Da'Vonne who voted out Tayshia? Man, I think I missed that. Now
she gives us a confessional where she says, you know, no one's gonna here, but I did it because I want all these people to start getting mad at each other and not trusting each other, and I'm just gonna slip on by. And she basically tells us, she's like, I'm done playing the honest game. I played the honest game and it didn't get me anywhere. Like, she's basically telling us, like, I'm gonna play hard, and like, if I have to, be a little villainous and stir the pot and throw a vote here. And we all know, like, the hinky vote is like a Big Brother staple. So I think that day just could not resist. But as we will see, I think Davon was just getting a little too excited. She's doing too much too soon. You did not need to throw a hinky vote there.
No, my messy queen.
Yes.
This is why you put Davon on television shows. Like, this is why, because she can't help her.
Yes.
As I've always loved Davon. I think that Davon is a great television character, one of the most iconic Big Brother players of all time. She's on the Mount Record right now, and probably will forever be. But Davon has some glaring problems in her game. It's the fact that Davon cannot help herself, right? Like, she has to say the thing, she has to make the move. She has to like call people out when she sees BS. She can't fake it, And
yes.
when she tries, it gets to her to the point where Big Brother is such a long game that eventually it boils up. So she can try to fake it for a little while, but eventually, the real Davon is going to come out. And normally it ends with her not doing so well in the later stages of the game, or even getting far in the game, like we saw in her first stint on Big Brother. But Davon is here to play. She's played competition reality games before, and so she knows that there are moves that you can't just leave on the table, and that there's definitely things that you got to do to being this random hinky vote, like you said, it's just signs of things to come, because by the next episode, everyone's sick at the amount of gaming that Davon is doing.
Yes. She's going to get herself into some hot water almost immediately in this episode. And so, no one even knows about the hinky vote at this point. But she, it's like she turns the corner here, and she's like, all right, I'm really, really playing. And we're getting into our next goat challenge here. And so this week, the Tosh comes in, and it's talent show week. So we're paying homage to all of, like, your American Idol, your So You Think You Can Dance, like anything related to talent. And the challenge is going to be a untalented show, and everyone is going to have to pick a random talent out of maybe the goat's mouth. I don't know where these came from. And this was fun. If we're gonna do challenge, because I am the classic during challenges, especially on like Survivor or Big Brother, where it's like just watching someone stand on something. I black out. I check Twitter. You know what I mean? Give me something like this that's a show, And it was so stupid.
Yes. So I love this. I love that they don't get to pick their own talents, right? Because I'm sure each of them has something that they do really, really well. But yeah, no, they had to pick them through a hat. But yeah, this is competition week, Jenny. Do you were you like an American Idol / So You Think You Can Dance fan, Dancing with the Stars? Like, what's your talent show competition? I guess your background when it comes to these shows.
So I definitely watched American Idol at the beginning. Like, I definitely watched, like the Kelly Clarkson win, the Ruben Studdard. Like, I saw the first few seasons live. So I am very familiar with the very exciting special guest that we're going to get here in William Hung. Yes. William Hung was here. If you did not watch this episode, we got William Hung on TV in 2024. I screamed with laughter because I was like, this is incredible. So yes, I did the American Idol. I didn't really religiously watch So You Think You Can Dance. And then I was like into The Voice for a while, like in the early 2010s. Like, I watched, I think, probably like the first 5 seasons live, and then I fell off with that as well. But that's it. I think I maybe would casually watch Dancing with the Stars. I was like never really. Apparently, I'm not that interested in the dancing ones. I don't know. But yeah, so I loved that. I mean, these talents were interesting. Like
Yeah.
some of them were, we have step aerobics. So like Joe is doing 80 step aerobics. Tex doing baton twirling. We got Shakespearean monologues, a limbo. Like these were not all created equally.
No, no. But it's like what you bring to the talent itself is what really helps you win the game.
Exactly.
But there's some strategy that goes into it as well. That I think we're gonna really have to get into the voting strategy when it comes to this because it's an interesting setup. But
Yeah.
Jenny, I am an OG. So you think?
Oh yeah, I know you're an American Idol guy, right?
But no, I'm a So You Think You Can Dancer. It's
Oh,
funny.
okay.
I know American Idol pretty well. The first like 8 or 9 seasons, probably. I was there like everybody else was, tuning in. We saw all the greats. But I know Survivor pretty well. I think I know So You Think You Can Dance better than that.
Wow, I did not
Yeah,
know this about you.
yeah. It's like it's my hidden untalent.
I know.
It's not all the seasons, but up to like season 7. I probably could name every contestant.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I feel like it just wasn't on like network TV in Canada, and maybe
Oh
that's
yeah.
why I didn't watch a
It
lot
was a
of it.
Fox show here. It was a Fox
Maybe
show,
it
and
was. I don't know.
so yeah. No, I was a big matter of fact, Jenny. I watched So You Think You Can Dance Canada. It's the first
Wow.
international show I've ever seen. I've watched. I think when it comes to obviously like for like United States versus other iterations of these shows. But So You Think You Can Dance Canada. I've seen So You Think You Can Dance UK and So You Think You Can Dance Australia. It was my
Damn.
original reality TV obsession. Yeah, and so yeah,
It's weird
me and
because
So You
I
Think You
love
Can
watching people dance. Like I used to like get caught up on like Instagram watching like videos of like these like dance studios. Like I don't
Yes.
know. Anyway, so I like watching dancing. I just don't know why I've never really gotten to those shows.
Yeah, that was my jam. Those first
Yeah.
like 5 or 6 seasons for sure. I mean, I was in it. Season 1 is kind of like season 1 of Big Brother, where it's canon, but it's not. But then
Right.
2 is where you get like just the memorable personalities. I know some people are like, this has nothing to do with this show. Like, yes, it does. And so I'm
Yes,
gonna
it
sit here
does.
and flex all my So You Think You Can Dance knowledge, but I was very
Let him
excited
cook.
to just get to
Let him
yeah.
cook.
I don't get to talk about this show often. Damn, get off my back.
We
But
thought we were gonna
yeah.
get to talk about it more.
I really thought that was gonna be like, okay, and show me, some contestant for So You Think You Can Dance. Not
Yeah.
Travis Wall. He's been canceled, I think, soft canceled, something like that. Show me Benji Swimmer. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of nostalgia when it comes to that stuff for me. And so I am appreciating this celebration of reality TV because it's really speaking to what I like.
And it's a great theme for like challenges too. Like I'm glad that they're, taking these things and just coming up with creative ways to have a challenge. Because they integrate the voting mechanism here, and so they give them the swerve where Tosh says, I'm going to be judgy and I'm bringing in my friend William Hung wearing the same shirt, which was incredible. And they said, while we are going to be judgy, you guys are actually the real judges. And every contestant has a card 1 to 11.
Mhm.
And they can only use each card once. So if you give someone an 11, you're not allowed to use that 11 again for somebody else. And this is where the math of it all and how were they keeping track of what numbers? Do you think that anyone was doing the math and how, like, what numbers they needed to give to people they had to have been, I couldn't keep track of it myself. But we see strategies start to come in here where people start strategically using, and when I say people, very few people, mostly just Day,
Yeah.
starts realizing how she can use these numbers to her advantage to make sure that she's the one that wins here. What I will say, did Day have an advantage here by going early? Because she knew, one, were people going to be, without knowing what was to come, were people going to be more likely to get really excited by what she did, give her a high number, and then she had the information of what she needed to maintain to stay in the lead? Is that a real advantage in a challenge like this?
It is, but I also think it can be a disadvantage in that since this is a talent show, you don't know how big you have to go until you see other people go, right? And so
so
Devon doesn't get to see the entire field, but she does see what she needs to beat. and she's not good at juggling, even though that's her challenge. And so she goes full out. She taps into her theater background, and then she gets really high scores. But at that point, she can start to look at the other people and say, okay, I could give high scores to these people that everybody likes, but in reality, that doesn't behoove it. It behooves me to tank their scores, so that I can then win the game. And so we didn't see a lot of it, but it does feel like Davon is the first person who caught on that if everybody else likes it, I can't like it because I need it to be lower than
Someone's
mine.
got to bring that score down. Yeah.
Yeah. And her strategy is seemingly working as well, because not only does she win the GOAT, but she wins, and it's fairly marginal. Like, had Davon not given Reza a 2, had she gave him a 7, then I think he wins, or he ties her at the very least. And so where Reza is racking up 11s and 10s and stuff, Alyssa Edwards racking up 10s and 11s. Davon has to literally puts a target on her back by saying, I know y'all think it's perfect, but I gave it a 1. And so that's either making her look like, hey, I don't appreciate you as a talented person. Like, I'm tanking you, or I'm being disrespectful to you. Or I'm just out gaming you right now, and you didn't see it until it was too late. And I think it's probably the second part. I think it's, damn, I didn't know we were playing like that, but since we are, game on. And I think everybody else was not ready for what Davon was ready to bring.
Definitely, it seems that people were not ready, and people were, planning on just sincerely giving the scores that they thought that, spoke from how they felt. And I think that what really, I think Davon was going to do this no matter who it was that she needed to tank to keep her at the top. But the unfortunate part here is that she's up at the top of the leaderboard, and then it seemed soon after we got Alyssa Edwards doing the poetry, and an original poem that she's writing, and it was a really good performance, and you can see everyone's given 11s, like people were we're getting 10s here, and Day is like, well, I gotta give it a 1, and she does say to secure the GOAT, I gotta give you a 1. So she's like, not, I guess maybe that's better than being like, I didn't like that, this sucks. But she's showing her hand in that this is a game move. Don't take it personal, but I'm trying to make sure that this stays with me. And so I think that, Alyssa is going to not love that energy anyway, because I do think that she's approaching the game as very much of like relationships and sincerity at this point. But also just didn't expect that was going to be put on her like so soon. I was like, oh, we're gaming. Okay. Like, I put all this effort into my talent, and it was objectively good, because look at all the people that gave me high scores. And just because you wanted to win, you purposely give me a 1. Like, that does not feel good. And I think that that's, it's possible that Day was rubbing Justin the wrong way before that. But this is where I think the rift is really going to start. Because even like you said, Day ends up giving like Reza 2 later on. And it seems like he's annoyed in the moment. But as later on in the episode, it seems like they're okay again. So, so yeah. And I didn't know she was going to pull it off, because there were so many people that went after her. So I thought, like, because it was shown what her strategy was, I thought people were going to be like, okay, well, I don't like that, so I'm going to like play it right back on you. And there's a lot more people to go, so we can rig this against you. And she managed to pull it off. She secures the win.
Yeah, I mean, because it only takes one person to take someone's score. If you have 11 here, 8 here, 10 here, blah, blah, and then you get a 1, boom, you're automatically at least 9 points down off of what you could have possibly been, or 10 points down off of what you could have possibly been. She does it once. She's already gone as well, so they can't tank her. So they would literally have to collude at that point. They would all have to team up and be like, all right, Davon's trying to win. We don't want her to win. And it would just be out of spite at that point. And so she does it once. She probably doesn't have to do this as blatantly again, but she saved her 1 for like the next person who gets a bunch of 10s. And it just happens to be Reza at that point. And Alyssa Edwards, right?
Yeah.
Because both of them.
I think, Alyssa got the 1, and then Reza gets the 2. Yeah.
Exactly. And Reza did not take it well. Reza and Davon obviously had a conversation that we don't see, because later on he comes and says, like, hey, we had our moment where we got past it. But Justin is not okay with this. He is not okay with the gaming. He says, I didn't know we were going to get so conniving. And here's what I'll say about that. like I told you, I have a very limited knowledge of RuPaul's Drag Race. I've seen the All-Star seasons, basically the one with Alyssa Edwards, where I met her and decided this is my favorite, right? I think Alyssa Edwards is used to being in talent show competitions. They talked about So You Think You Can Dance and American Idol, but RuPaul's Drag Race is very much that as well. And yeah,
that's facts. Yes.
So he's probably used to coming out on stage, doing his best, and then getting good feedback about what he did or negative feedback about what he did. But to get
that mattering,
yeah, and it matters a lot, right? Yeah, because this is how you win RuPaul's Drag Race: make RuPaul laugh. If you do that, you're good. If RuPaul loves you, then you will go to the end every time. Like she just will change the rules if she has to. It's just the way a game is played. I've seen it with my own eyes. Please don't at me. And so, but when they switched to the all-star format, one of the things that we noticed was that it gave the queens a chance to eliminate each other, right? But the thing is, they didn't want to. They really wanted to make it to where, okay, well, we'll eliminate them, but it has to be based on merit. So it has to be based on what the judges said, not points, but based on the judges' comments. You sound like you need to be in the bottom this week. And so that was very contentious on the show, because there were definitely moments where there's a bigger target available to vote out. But because y'all have established this ecosystem where all we can do is vote out the people who are doing poorly, there's a lot of people who make it further in the game that if the people are playing more cutthroat, they never make it that far. In that season I'm talking about, the eventual winner was very much vulnerable in like the final 4 or final 5, and they didn't take the shot, you know, and because she hadn't gotten the worst critiques of all the people, right?
It's like if on Survivor, you're like always voting out the person that did the worst on the challenge.
In the challenge, exactly. Like, hey, you did the worst, or you literally did the least amount of camp work, so you gotta go.
Yeah,
you know. Right. Whereas and then the person who's about to win the game is just skating to the end, and we see it evolve from All Stars, I guess All Stars 2 onto other All Star seasons where people are more willing to take the shot. And so I think that Justin just was living in that world where it was like, I'm not doing anything to anybody. I'm not moving poorly. I actually did really great in the competition. Why am I being tanked?
Why am I not being rewarded? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Why, or why are you coming for me? You know?
Yeah.
And so I didn't love the confrontation though, because it did feel like, and maybe this is just the edit, but to me, it really did feel like Justin's complaints aren't really that valid. Like, this is not like, you don't tell me to step outside of the game right now in a game when it's strictly a competition part. Like, if it's a personal thing, then fine. And I think what Justin was trying to get Da'Vonne to understand is like, yes, I understand that you're gaming, but don't you understand that hurt my feelings? And Da'Vonne is like, yes, but also everyone's going to get their feelings hurt at some point. And Justin kind of just throws his hands up like, I'm not doing this with you. I'm done. So now Da'Vonne wants to leave the game because she thinks she's being punished for playing the game. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, here's the thing is like I see some merit in both of the things that were bothering both of them. They both do a terrible job of communicating and like resolving conflict, which is great for television. Terrible for their position in the game and their relationship with each other, because, you know, I understand where Day's coming from, being like, hello, we're playing there is a game here, and it was not personal. I was just playing the game. But you also can't communicate that in a way where we kind of see Tayshia do that. You know, I mentioned this earlier with CJ, but like, well, it's a game, and like you have to be careful, especially when you like come from a like competition based strategy reality game show. And you know, we saw this with the traders. Like, don't act like holier than thou because you're a gamer and like that person might not understand that. Or it's like, so I do think that you have to be careful with how you remind people that it's not personal and it's just a game. And I also think that for Justin, his way of like basically saying, you know, it hurt my feelings. Like, you know, I understand you're playing a game and you want to win, but in that moment, it made me feel bad. I felt like it was about me. And the argument of even what he said about you know, like stop gaming for a second and be a human. Like, the point of that is actually pretty good. It's like, yes, it is important to play the game, think strategically. I will like respect if you need to do something that is a game move, but I also don't have to like it if I feel like you're doing it in a way that is not kind, or because social game is a part of it. It's like, it's not all, and I do think that some of his criticisms of her were fair, because we see him talking to, I think, Lauren and CJ before day comes up and realizes that they're talking about her, is that, you know, Justin says, I don't feel like she's actually tried to get to know me on a personal level at all. The only conversations that I've had with her is her just coming up to me like frantic, being like, we good, we're good, we're good. And he didn't like that. And so I think that that is a fair criticism of saying, like, yes, we are playing a game, but I also think to play the game well, you should also be paying attention to the people, the humans that you're playing with, not just treating them like game pieces. And I do kind of feel like that was what his argument was, but that was not communicated well either. It was like, you know, as soon as either of them met any sort of like, you know, like they're not being heard, it's just like throwing up their hands, being like, I'm done with you, I can't, like, the blockage was just immediate. And I thought they both had fair arguments. It's just like no one was ever going to hear it because they were doing such terrible jobs of explaining that. So it was like one of those situations where I'm like, I'm on both of your sides, and I also think you're both in the wrong.
Yeah, I honestly, if I had to lean toward one side or the other, I'm leaning with Davon on this one, just because I do see her several times go to try to finish the conversation and actually come to a resolution, and Justin's just not hearing it. He's like, no, that's how you want to play. I don't want to play with you. Bye. And so,
and I also think she wasn't expecting that to be as much of a thing as it was. So I think she was probably a little emotionally like, oh shit.
Yeah, she was like reeling, and then at the same time, it's still a game, so she doesn't want to. Yeah. She don't want to piss off Justin, but she doesn't also want to look bad. She also doesn't want to lose the game. She don't want to, you know, like you said, it's a social game. So having a big fight that is not resolved is not good for anybody. And so what Davon does with that information, she decides, I want Justin out right now. Like, he has to go right this second. Yeah. He's not in the Women's Alliance, and I have the numbers. So all I need to do is make sure he loses. He goes home, and then
in this game, you're dead to me.
That part. And so in this, the Women's Alliance will continue to run the game. So she goes to kind of like recruit people to help. I think Jill is in on the throwing, and CJ is in on the throwing too. Or no?
So she pulls Paola aside, and at this point, it seems like Day's closest ally might be Paola, because I see at certain points like those two, she's talking to Paola a lot. She pulls Paola aside and says, Jill's in on it. I need you, like, please trust me. We need to just do the throw and get out Justin. I'm gonna pick the teams. I'm gonna pick this person. I'm gonna pick that person. She said she's gonna pick Lauren and CJ. Neither of them are gonna know about the throws, but if enough of us are in on it, then it should work out. And we've got the votes, so if our team loses, we're not in trouble. We're all just gonna make sure that Justin goes. And so the plan is in motion, and that's one of the nice things about being in the GOAT position, is you do literally get to pick your team, so you can have some control over if you want to throw a challenge here, because you just have to make sure you've talked to people ahead of time, because you're gonna make sure they're on your team and that you actually have that power. Great idea in theory, probably doing again a little too much. But you know, the plan is on. And what broke my heart, Chappelle, was we get to, I assume had to have been the next day. We get to Day picking the teams at our next challenge here, which is just like some sort of obstacle course again.
Yeah.
Was this like America's Next Top Model sort of theme because of the pose at the end, or
no?
Maybe,
it was like I don't know, a dizzy obstacle course. What was it? What exactly were they doing? Because I saw them spin around.
Yeah, it was like spin your head on like a baseball bat type thing, and then there was like these like orange blocks that they had to go around, and then there was tires. It was just not like just a regular kind of like obstacle course, but then they have at the end they like strike a pose, and then that's how they end. So I thought like the strike a pose thing, I was like, is this supposed to be like, are we like shoehorning this to be America's Next Top Model, or like some sort of like, or even I don't know what it was. It was a little less obvious than the previous challenge, I guess.
Wait. No, it wasn't just the pose though. I think it was the outfits too, right? Because they're dressed in like 80s style.
They were all dressed. Yeah, they were all dressed in like it was like kind of like 70s disco. Like there were like some like afros and like a lot of people had like wigs. Like I think at one point Joe had a wig and then threw it off, and they were all wearing like bell bottoms and like sparkly numbers. Again, what was I don't know what this had to do with anything. That was confusing. But anyway, we're picking the teams, and this is what broke my heart was. So, you know, Day's picking Paola and CJ and Lauren and Jill, and then she says, Justin, let's dance. Oh, maybe it's dance. She said, Justin, let's dance. And then we get this confessional from Justin being like, I was surprised. Like, you know, we had our thing yesterday, but like, you know, I need this and maybe she needs this too. And in that moment, I was like, oh no, he doesn't know. Like, he
hasn't figured it out yet. No.
And he thinks this is like, instead, like an extension of an olive branch and being like, hey, let's be on the same team here for good reasons. And that was what made me sad, because I was like, I know that he was super pissed at her and was like, you're playing, you know, you're over gaming. I thought that this was maybe a chance to mend the fences and that he wasn't completely out on her at this point, and saw this as like I said, you know, like extending an olive branch. Let's work together and get past this. Let's play together. Let's win this.
Yeah, he was wrong.
The opposite of what Davon wanted to do.
Justin has, again, this is not the same. Like, I would love to see Alyssa Edwards on Big Brother now that they've kind of gotten their feet wet with this, because I think that now that you've seen how this works, you should now be tapped in. Alyssa Edwards is very competitive, very talented, does it all. But there's like, you got ops, they got to get out of the house thing. She's not really focused on that. So when Davon picks her, Alyssa Edwards should have immediately, the red flag should have gone off. Like, something's wrong. Something's about to happen. I cannot lose this challenge, because if it comes down to me and her, I'm going to be the one in danger, and I don't need that. I need to make sure that we're safe, or I need to be starting to rally votes against her, since, you know, I'm on the same team as her, basically. So we need to either win, or when we win, I need to make sure I survive. Yeah. And Davon's safe, right? So you need to flip the house against her. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need the votes to go opposite of what she wants.
And again, like, this is just my interpretation, but like my, you know, based on what I know and what I understand, I'm guessing for Alyssa Edwards, there is no such thing as throwing a competition. So it's like that thought wouldn't have even entered the brain. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't something to even consider, which is what might explain thinking, oh, you think I'm a good competitor, like you want to win even though you are safe. So, but yeah, I don't know, if you had such a bad fight and you see someone pick like a bunch of people that you know are their friends, and then I would question that. But again,
it's not her wheelhouse.
That's not how you operate. If you know, if throwing or not putting your like 100% into a challenge for any reason, even pettiness, is not in your DNA, then I could see that just not really like occurring to you.
Right. And then again, Davon's done this before. So Davon knows if I get in a fight with somebody and they say they don't want to play with me, that means they will vote me out. And so Davon is saying, I need to now vote this person out. Now, could Davon gone? But Davon could have gone and mended this fence. We see that Justin would have been open to it probably. So Davon just chose the nuclear option, which is, again, why we love Davon, right? She cannot help herself. So not only is she going to vote her out, because it'd be easy enough to say, if we lose the challenge, let's vote out Justin. Boom. Yeah. Because she's not going home this week anyway. So she's like, if we lose, let's vote out Justin. But to actively throw the challenge to make sure Justin is the one voted out.
Teams purposely. Of people you know that will,
When in reality, if you win the competition, there's probably a guy on the other side you could vote out, you know? So it just felt like she went from 0 to 100 and there was no coming back. And, you know, the throw happens, but it's one of like those sloppy throws where too many people know the challenge is being thrown. If you're throwing a challenge, only you should know. Only you should know that the challenge is being thrown. Do whatever you got to take to lose it. But everybody, there's too many people, too many moving pieces, too many people with relationships. They're gonna out those things. And then also, try not to look so obvious. We've seen this before, you know, since the beginning of time, since the first challenge was ever thrown, it looked hella obvious. And so this time, Devon is giving an Oscar-worthy performance when it's just get dizzy and then also not be able to finish the obstacle. Where it's like all you got to do is get dizzy, you know, actively get dizzy, and you'll be fine.
And also, people, it's not just the act of like, okay, well, like getting dizzy, that's an easy thing to throw because like some people just get dizzy super, super easily. And it's like you don't always know what kind of people are going to get thrown off by that. But what really, you know, raises flags for people is how Day is acting during the challenge, because by this point there's already been a few challenges and everyone has seen how hyper competitive Devon is. She's, you know, she wants to win. She is intense. She's excited. She's amped up. And, you know, she's like clapping, being like, that's okay. Like when someone loses, it's okay.
Wild.
We got this. Like they've not seen that energy from her. And yes, maybe some of that is because she's safe and her ass isn't on the line. But it was like just too different from how she'd been acting in other situations. I was like, this doesn't feel right. Like her own team, the people that weren't in on the fix, like Lauren, is recognizing it, being like, she didn't act like this before. Like, you're not fooling everyone. This is
CJ
so
said it
that's
too.
not great.
Yeah, everybody notices. They're like, oh, okay, people notice. By the end of the episode, they're literally yelling at Devon, "You threw the challenge!" You know, so it just gets bad, and then it gets worse. So
it gets worse.
Yeah, so they obviously lose the challenge. Everybody knows, or a lot of people, I will say, have an inkling that it's Devon. But you know, Devon says she has all the numbers. The girls are going to be voting for Justin, and then the guys should Devon's got some alliances with the guys. It should work out for her. But
She's
Devon, she goes to Wendell. I said, Kylan, again, Kylan. We do this every time. We do this every damn time you're on the show. So she goes to Wendell. Wendell, we are buds. And you know Devon and Wendell know each other outside of this game. There's no way they haven't met. There's
Wendell said CBS family.
Right, but there's no way they haven't met. There's no way they don't have a mutual friend.
For sure.
Like, Brycey, what are you doing? You know, like, you're supposed to, like, these people are at least the Bryce Alliance. It happens, and Wendell says, okay, cool, I hear you, but I don't want to vote out Justin. We're not going to vote out Justin, actually. And she says, what? He's like, yeah, we're not doing that. I actually really want to work with Justin. As we talked about, Wendell and the gays is a thing. And so it's like, all right, well, Justin was one of my numbers.
What's the other option?
What's the other option? And Devon's like, there is no other option. It's Justin or else. And Wendell says, okay, well, sorry we couldn't work together. You take care. I'll see you later. Good luck in the game. And I'm thinking, wow. Like, it's really going to come down to a politicking between Wendell and Devon. What happened? How do we get here?
Yeah. Well, especially because, you know, that conversation kind of ends with, you know, Day basically being like, okay, well, like if you want to do your own thing, that's fine, but like basically insinuating like, I've got the numbers and I will break this tie. So like if you know, if that's what you need to do, that's fine, but that's it. So like basically like threatening, like these like kind of like shielded like threats against each other, basically being like, okay, well, if that's what you want to do, like go for it, but like you're not gonna get anywhere with it. And like Wendell's like, bet, like watch me. And this is wild because Wendell gets to work. He said, okay, I know, like I like Devon, I want to work with Devon, but I also don't want to be told what to do, and I don't want to get rid of someone that is someone I want to work with and that I like. So if you're not going to give me another option, then I'm just going to do what I need to do to make sure there is another option.
Yeah. And he
finds the weak link.
It's Lauren.
I don't know. Well, Lauren as the person to target, but he realizes that he needs to get one of the women to vote with the guys because they're, you know, they're even numbers, I think, at this point, but Devon is the tiebreaker, as we know.
Right.
So I don't know if Wendell knowing to pull CJ was him seeing CJ as a weak link with the girls, or if he just knew that CJ had a relationship with Justin, and that's why, like, well, obviously I can get her on board to keep Justin if I can offer her a plan that will work.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Like perhaps you have to think that Wendell and Justin are talking, and he's like,
I'm good
"Hey,
with
who can
CJ.
we get?" And
Mhm. Yeah.
Justin's like, "Yeah, I had a great conversation with CJ. I think she would want to keep me if she knew that she was protected."
Right. We talked about Tayshia's superpowers in the past. We talked about Davon and what she's good at when it comes to these reality TV shows. But Wendell is good at this. This is Wendell's
Yeah.
strength. Wendell is, yeah, he's an athletic guy, but he's good at this part. See,
Yeah.
let's see who's working with who. How many votes do we need? Let's get them together. Let's make the vote. He
Mhm.
heard Davon out. He tried to go which way she wanted to go. She wasn't having it. So he's like, all right, cool, bet. X Davon from the list. Who can we get to? Who's some low hanging fruit? Everybody can get behind. Who kind of been playing in the middle? And yeah, and how do I get that, like, somebody to vote with me to vote that person out? It's CJ. If CJ clocked that Davon threw that challenge, one, she probably said it to somebody else. She probably said it to Justin at some point, because Justin didn't seem, extremely shocked later on that he was getting votes. So yeah, he probably at this point it's fairly common knowledge maybe that they've thrown this challenge, and so Wendell just has to go and get the people who were not in on it. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, CJ, you weren't in on the challenge throw. You good with keeping Justin? Sure. Do you care about Lauren at all? Not really. Like, I cared a lot about Lauren, but not more than Justin, and so
Yeah.
the
And I
Girls
also
Alliance has
care
trouble.
about if you're CJ, you also care about, like, not being trusted enough to
Mm-hmm.
be
A part of
looped
the
in
throw.
on the plan. It's like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like fourth in the tier or whatever."
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's how he presents it to her, but, it obviously works. The other thing that I question here, because Day at least had contacts that Lauren might be like the other option for votes, because obviously, like, not 100% of people, it's not like Justin's gonna like vote for himself, and he knows that other people want to keep him, but she's just relying on the idea that we have the numbers, I'm the tiebreaker, so do vote for whoever you want. But like Wendell does say Lauren's name today as like an option of like, hey, would you consider this instead? Like, maybe let's try to like meet halfway here. And she just says no. And I don't know if she did anything to try to warn people and make sure that they had some sort of plan to deflect on that, or whether there would be like a potential weak link. But what I get from the aftermath of the vote, which we should definitely get to, is that I think that some of the guys were also telling some of the women that they were also going to vote for, like, it wasn't a clear, okay, this is a split vote and Davon will break the tie. It seems like from Kristen's reaction to a bunch of the guys that at least some of them were telling them that they were also going to vote for Justin.
So it wasn't just going to be the girls. The girls are also, like, the girls have an alliance, yes, but they are also aligned loosely with the guys in different ways. So Kristen's like, yeah.
I think they thought they had the votes even without a tie break, and they weren't
Mhm.
expecting to be in that position whatsoever.
Right, because when it comes down to this time, who flipped? The vote ends up being what, 5-7.
Mhm.
Immediately Lauren's like, well, some people need to watch their backs, and there are people you can't trust, like Davon, and Davon's
You could
just
get her out
completely just
next.
right, and Davon just says, hey, by the way, voted out Justin. It was
Yeah.
CJ who flipped. Everybody knows it. I'm like, Lauren, how are you the only person who doesn't realize it's you? Like, that's how you know she wasn't tapped in, because she was
Yeah.
legitimately confused about how she went out, and everybody else was like, no, y'all, it was CJ. That's it. There's your answer.
Kristen saying it was CJ and the guys, like, because as the votes are being read, you see, because Kristen was the one woman that was safe on the winning team, so she was sitting
Mhm.
off to the side with the rest of the guys, and she's like saying to them, like, you guys are so untrustworthy, like, I can't believe it. That's what tells me, okay, they were clearly telling some of these people, yes, okay, like, we'll just get rid of Justin, and so she pipes up too, to Day's defense, basically being like, it was very, very clearly the guys and CJ, they lied to us.
Yeah, it's the
Well,
way Davon explains it to CJ. To Lauren too. That kills me, because Lauren's like, somebody here lied. It's probably Davon, but well, somebody's not telling the truth. And Davon goes, "It was CJ, baby. It was CJ. Like, there's no mystery.
there's
There's no
nothing to
hickey vote.
explain.
There's no
Yeah.
thing explained. There's no big mystery. Hello, look around, everybody. The guys and CJ did it. Come on, keep up. That's how you
And
know
Day's
it's time for Lauren to
pissed.
go." Yeah,
And Dave's pissed,
absolutely.
even though she did say early in the episode to Paula, that, you know, I know you trust her, but I'm not quite there with her yet. Like that she just lost a number and had the house flip on her to keep the person that she literally threw a competition to get out. So she's pissed and she's getting
Mhm.
frustrated with the person that's going because it's like you're trying to blame me. Like this is a nightmare for Davon.
Yeah,
And it gets worse
it does.
because so we get the back and forth between Day and Justin, where Justin says, Day, you threw the challenge. And she said, yeah. And everyone knew we wanted you out. Like, and then she gets back on this is a game. Do you not realize that this is just a game? Again, understand the sentiment. But at this point, I mean, she doesn't have to hide her feelings at this point with Justin. So that's fair enough. Um, and and this is where I can tell, like, Justin feels bad because I don't think he had anything against Lauren, and he probably feels bad that because of all of this, like Lauren's the one that's going home, and you know, Day's coming at him, and he says like, "I can go, she can come back."
Mhm.
Kristen goes, "No, don't. We love you." And this is what Justin something I don't know what happened.
What the Justin was there, and then Alyssa Edwards just poked her head out. You know
Is
what I'm
that what
saying?
happened? Is like,
Yeah, the
okay,
library was open, and I
yeah,
said, "Oh, okay," because we talked about it. Everybody has a superpower, right? Everybody brought
yeah,
something from their show. This is what drag queens do. Okay, you do not do this with the drag queens because they can say this kind of thing and then go on about their lives the next day, and they go home
yeah,
and they watch RuPaul's Drag Race and they watch each other drag each other or read each other for filth or whatever they call it
right.
when they're in their confessionals. They're eating each other up. Oh, this is Justin's game. What, you want to talk trash? You want to go back and forth? Let's go. You don't love anything but the bottle.
Yeah.
What?
It was, yeah, Kristen, you don't love anybody but the bottle. And like
What?
like you could
What?
cut the tension. It was wild. Like Kristen's face too. Like her face just Day goes, that's low.
Yeah.
Kristen says, fuck you. And then what killed me, I don't know if you caught this, was Wendell goes, this isn't the reunion, guys.
Yeah. Like, yeah. This is not the
He's
reunion.
like,
This
to
is not
save
where we
this
do
energy
this.
for the reunion.
And it's like,
It's
Wendell,
episode
again, wake
3.
up. Yeah, wake up. This just became RuPaul's Drag Race. It's time. It's time.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Justin looks legitimately confused when Kristen's like, all right, I'm going F you too. And he's
Like,
like,
oh,
wait,
was
what
I
are you
not
talking about?
supposed to say that?
Yeah, was I not supposed to? It's like, yeah, no, that's not the game we're playing here. She storms out, and then I mean, we basically get a big fight, and the house is turning against Justin. I mean, because Davon is actively saying, look at this rude ass thing he said. This is why I didn't want him around. I tried to vote him out. Y'all went out of y'all way, voted out Lauren behind my back. Y'all betrayed me to keep somebody who would essentially throw alcoholism in someone's face as like
Yeah.
a slight
This is a
against them.
low blow, yeah.
Right. Is this who you lay with, in the words of Davon? Is this your is this the one you lay with?
Facts. Yeah, and the funny thing about, like, the commentary about this is, like, because we also get Jill saying, like, "That's nasty housewife shit."
Mhm.
I think Kristen said, like, "What is this, like, season 1 of Vanderpump Rules?" Like,
Mhm.
or like, "Do you want me to get Vanderpump? Like, I'll, like, take my mic off." And so it's like they're making, like, self-referential, like they're referencing their own shows in a way of being like, "Hey, that's dirty. Like the place I
Mhm.
came from." It's like
Yeah.
they're
Like,
like they're
I
like,
thought we
"Oh,
left that
okay."
energy back at Vanderpump, right? That's
Yeah.
some Real Housewives stuff. We're not doing that here. I thought this was a different game. Elizabeth was like,
Well,
no, I thought we were on Bravo. I thought that's what we
yeah,
do.
and the thing is the goat is we're taking a little bit of everything.
A little
So
bit of everything.
apparently
Yeah.
that's what we are doing. It's like, no, we actually want you to go back to that. And that's listen, Justin was just doing Alyssa here. And
Yeah.
we thought you were all gonna play along. And no, that was not the case. Kristen did not seem ready for that. But now it's like she got engaged. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
definitely like the fire was lit and she seemed ready to go Vanderpump. She
Yeah.
storms into the house, but like she's got like her gaggle behind her. And the girls are now like the anger is at Justin, but now it's shifting to CJ, and they're all in the room, like being like that little bitch. Like it popped off. Like no one was safe in this moment. I'm like, are they mad at Day? Are they mad
Right.
at Justin? Are they mad
Right.
at CJ? They're mad at all of them in like different
Yes.
ways.
The alliance broke down to where
Oh,
it's really the guys and CJ at this point, because Reza overhears them in the room saying, "What a bitch! Why would she return on the girls' alliance? She's not a girls, all that kind of stuff." And they're like, "Okay, CJ, don't
flashback.
go in there. The block is hot. Come with
Yeah.
us." And
Yeah.
so yeah, you see Reza, you see Wendell, you see CJ, you see Justin. I think Joe goes upstairs. Like, it's literally the guys and CJ. It just
Yeah.
is. And so, and then on the other side, you got the women that are saying F CJ. You know, I think I can't even tell who's higher up on the hit list. Is it Justin or is it CJ? Because I think they're more betrayed by the fact that CJ betrayed the alliance than the actual, you know, person who their ire should be pointing at, which is Justin, based off of what he said for against Kristen. So, whew,
Yeah.
how
It's
did
like
we get here?
they're mad at first about what Justin says, but then they're like more mad that she flipped on them, that she crossed them. Like, we were supposed to be a girls' alliance. Like, I don't think this is good for Day either, though, because
No.
it seems like the three girls that are close now are Kristen, Jill, and Paola, and like those three are like pissed off together. And I think that they're probably a little annoyed with Day for, like, you know, getting a little too big brain, a little too cute, a little too messy, and this blowing up in their faces, and they lost Lauren. And you know, CJ's going up the stairs and she's like, I'm gonna have to move rooms. Like, she's like, I've gone to the gays. I knew this was always gonna happen. And then again, we're seeing like Justin talking about like, I can't do this. Like, the last thing I want to do is fight with this girl. And he's like clearly talking about Kristen, because I think he realizes like, okay, I know what I'm getting myself into if I'm going toe to toe with this girl. And what killed me is Reza is like, no, I have diarrhea. You cannot do this to me right now. He's like, I've taken Pepto and
Yes.
Alka-Seltzer. You cannot do this to me right now. I was like, what is happening here?
Well, I think a big point of that we haven't really talked about is that Alyssa wants to do this after they threw a challenge to keep him. You know, like, why? Sir, do you
And
understand
CJ
what just
just
happened?
shot herself in the foot.
Right.
Like,
CJ just threw her entire game away to
yeah,
be loyal to you. And you're
yeah,
like, I'm fine, I'll go. No, no,
yeah.
no, no, no. You can go nowhere. You and I are tied. We're a tag team in this game, as far as I'm concerned. Because I used whatever little social and political capital I had to keep you around. And
It's like
now you want
everyone
to just
looking at
go?
Q being like, hello, what are you talking about? Why are you quitting? No.
Yeah, don't quit. I need. Then when I actually go out on a limb for you, now you want to leave me with the people who I've betrayed and potentially be like, okay, I'll go. Lauren comes back. That is worse for me.
That's
Don't
not
bring
good.
Lauren
That's
back.
giving them the number too.
Right.
So yeah. Like,
What
the
are you
war
doing?
has been started. You have to like put your effing boots on now. Like, we're doing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
But I have so many questions about Reza's diarrhea.
I know. No, I
What
don't have any questions about the
was
diarrhea. I'm
this
good.
anxiety related? Was this
Sounds
a
like it.
cause from the challenge? Did Jason make a bad meal today? I'm just like, what did that have to do with
The,
like, Justin, you can't leave. I have diarrhea. I need
yeah,
you. You
he
have the
had the BGs.
Pepto-Bismol in your bag.
Yeah, he had the BGs, he had the bubble guts. It's just what,
Yeah.
when things aren't going your way and
Yeah.
that anxiety starts to just like, he's like, ugh, I don't like this. I'm
No.
already not feeling well. And now, like,
Don't leave me
one
like
of
this.
right, don't leave me like this. What are you talking about? And it was
Yeah.
very dramatic. But again, you cast a drag queen, you're gonna get some drama. And I think that
Yeah.
Alyssa Edwards is delivering.
And I just truly don't think that Kristen expected it.
No.
She was like, you could tell, because I mean, she's clearly heard these kinds, like, she's been called out like this before, and she didn't expect this kind of energy. But I also understand Justin's like, fuck you. Don't try to tell me, oh, stay, we love you. You just try. You threw a challenge. Well, she didn't throw a challenge, but like, you were
She
part of
didn't.
an alliance that was targeting me specifically to get me out. And now you're trying to be like, no, I love you. Like, you don't love anything. Went a little hard. People just didn't know that they were going to be on that level. And Tosh leaves. He backs away. He pieces out. I don't know where he went. Even he was like, okay, I can't do this. Like, this is, he's like, I thought this was going to be a silly, funny little show. And, you know, we're milking people like cows and I'm taking votes out of a goat's ass. Like, what? We're now calling out people like their potential alcoholism and, you know, F-bombs being thrown. Like, damn. Okay, this is what the show is.
But now you have my attention. You know, now
Yeah,
I'm in.
I was seated. I was
That.
it was gripping television.
Exactly. I'm all in
Yeah.
now. Sorry, not sorry. At first I said the first episode was a little mid to me. It's like,
Yeah.
it's fine. Second
It was
episode,
cute.
okay. Right. Cute, not hot. Second episode, we start building, but now we fighting and it's not
Everyone's fighting.
Yeah, and it's a little personal and the Kristen stuff, like definitely didn't love that. But a
No.
lot of this is just game related, you know, like Justin disagreeing with Days, the way Days playing the game, Day trying to throw a challenge. This is the type of drama I like. So bring me more of this for episode 4.
Well, that's the thing is like you have to recognize what like people's values are and what's important to them. And then I think that that's like what the misstep is for Day is that like, you know, clearly that Justin has like some sensitivity in there and like doesn't want to be treated like, you know, a pawn on a chessboard, 16 of them. And you know, needs a little bit more like you can't treat him like that and that becomes personal. So then like when what Day sees as the game moves become personal and so you push and now it's like, okay, we're personal. Like we're doing this personal. And I think that that's the problem is like they're all kind of like viewing this game differently. Like, and I just think like if you know you're dealing with someone who's going to take these things personally, then you have to be prepared for how they act on the offensive when they see things personally. That's the difference here. Whereas she's like, this is just a game. I would never say that to you. And it's like, well, they're seeing it in a different way. This has gotten personal. So now they're getting personal. And that's how you get mess. That's how you get mess.
I love it. We made it.
Yes.
It's fun.
So
yes,
this was what a 3-episode arc. These 2 episodes really brought the heat, and we will be back next week with we're gonna get into just the weekly 1-episode drops. And so you'll be back next week with episode 4. I can't wait. Chappelle, in the meantime, what else do you have going on?
RHAPkickback.com is where you can find all the podcasts that I'm doing that's not on these RHAP streets. Summer House, Martha's Vineyard, Abbott Elementary. Hopefully you've seen a little something or other. We dropped about some rap beef recently. So keep all of that in mind when you are looking for a podcast to listen to or recommend it to your friends. Recommend RHAPkickback.com.
It's why Chappelle is the GOAT. Yeah, just you know, we are easing into the end of Dondi over also on the Hit or Quit. Can't believe that's almost done. And also check out MILF Manor coverage on the 90 Day Fiance. Had a really great time getting together to talk about the dads a couple of days ago. So that was good fun. What is my life? Again, MILFs and goats. That's my life right now. Love it. But yeah, we will see you next week with episode 4 of The GOAT. And until then, have a good one.
Peace.
Bye.